Hey guys, I'm Cassie. I'm the branch manager of our Monrovia location, and I'm here today to show you our family craft night kit for November. So today we are making DIY gnomes, and they're super cute. And my favorite thing about this is that they're really something that you can adapt to do in whatever way works best for you, or whatever way you just think is the cutest, or to whatever way you have the supplies for. We're going to provide you supplies if you pick up one of our kits. You can get those at the main library in Martinsville, the Waverly location, or here at Monrovia. And we'll have those until they run out. So if you don't get one before they run out, no problem. The stuff in the bag is super simple to find at home or at a craft store, but I think most of it you'll have at home. So, and we'll talk about adaptations you can make as we go through. So let's dive right in, get in the bag, see what we've got. First thing you're gonna need out of your bag is a sock. So in your bag, you're gonna have a fuzzy sock, but you could use an old sock that nobody fits into anymore at home, or a sock that doesn't have a match anymore, and you're gonna turn it inside out. So flip your sock inside out, and then grab a jar or a cup. This is just gonna make filling the sock a little bit easier. So you're gonna put the toes down in your container and kind of peel back the other part over the side. Then you're gonna need your bag of either beans or rice. So this kit had beans, but some of them had rice. You may need all of this, you may not need all of this. It just kind of depends on your personal preference on how full you want your gnome to be, or how big you want them to be. You will notice on the corner of your bag that there's like a drawn on little perforated line, little dashed line. So this will make filling your bag a lot easier if you'll kind of shake that down and then cut along that line, just like that. So think about it like you're gonna pipe icing onto a cake or something. So that kind of creates a nice, easy way to pour your beans or rice into your sock. And you may not use all of it, or you may just not use all of it at first. You're gonna kind of work that down into the base of your sock, and then you can keep adding beans until you have it as full as you want. I would not recommend going beyond the heel. Now these socks are really huge, so you'd have to put a ton in there to do that anyway, but I did do one with a toddler sock, and I had to take some of the beans back out to get it under the heel, just to kind of keep a more like natural round shape to the gnome, which will make them sit up a little bit smoother too. So almost got these beans all in here. So the next thing you're gonna need out of your bag are rubber bands. And you really only need about 2 or 3 rubber bands for this whole project, but it was just easier to give everybody a pinch. So you'll probably find that you have quite a few more rubber bands than what you need in your bag. And they are in their own little bag inside the bag. And you will be covered in fuzz from doing this. I've been covered in fuzz for like a week from working on this. So I'm gonna get those rubber bands. Got a little baggie of rubber bands just like this. Just real tiny like hair elastics. But any rubber band would work, or if you didn't have a rubber band, you could tie it with yarn, or if you've got a really tall sock like this, you could even just tie a knot in the sock. So I'm gonna get that rubber band on there. And then grown-ups, you're probably gonna wanna do it up to this step as far as the shaping goes. But once you've got the rubber band on, it's a great time to give it to the kids and let them kind of work on shaping it. It's fun for them as far as sensory goes, just feeling those beans in there and the way they move and stuff. But you also, don't want them to get beans everywhere, or at least I don't when I'm at home doing crafts. So now that we've got our sock like this and our beans all down in the bottom, we're gonna take our sock and flip it back the other way, pushing the big ball of beans down in there. Okay, so now we are ready for our nose of our gnome. And you can see on these gnomes, they're just kind of a big knot off the front there. So all we're doing is taking a marble, but you could also use a rock, or you could use a bead, you could use a pom-pom, you could even just use some stuffing, and you are gonna put it down in there. So one tip on this is I would either put it down into the bottom color, let's see if you can see that from the angle, or I would move it up into the top. but I would not put it right in the center. If it has a line, it just looks a little funny. So this one has a line. Now this one, it blends in pretty well because his beard is kind of tri-colored, so you don't notice it as much, but I think that it could look a little odd. So in this instance, I am going to actually do it on this side and just go with the beige color. You're going to take another rubber band and put it around the rubber band, or around the marble, so that you have a nice tight marble against your face, so that you've got kind of sticking out. And I keep showing you the profile of our gnome because I think it's a little easier to see than dead on. So now that we've got that, we are going to take another rubber band and we're going to tie off the top of this. So this part you are not going to see ultimately, so it's not a big deal if you tie it in a knot or if you rubber band it or use string or however you want to do it. So there we go. Now you have to start having some more options. So you could kind of flip this back over him and make him a hat out of the rest of your sock. That is what I did with this little pale blue guy. I just used his sock to make his hat. So I added a little pom-pom, a little stuffing in here, and he was ready to go. So that's one option. If you want this to last like 5 minutes or 6 minutes and 40 seconds, because that's where we're at, you can do that. The other thing you can do is to cut this off, and you can add a fabric hat, which is what we're gonna do this time. So just trimmed that off, nothing special there, just cut it right off. All right, so my glue gun is good and hot, but you will want to make sure that you plugged yours in at the start of your project. So I'm just tightening that down a little bit more, just make sure it's on there really good. Now you're gonna want to locate your beard fabric. So you're gonna have 2 pieces of fabric in your bag, or 3 if I really miscounted. One is gonna probably be like a plaid or a flannel or just kind of a cottony fabric, and that is gonna be for your hat, not your hat, but your gnome's hat. And then you're also gonna have one that's gonna be kind of a furry or fuzzy something that is gonna be the beard. So craft fur can be really expensive, but this wasn't because I bought what little I had to, and I used stuff that I already had. So this was an old pillow that I had for my house. If you have this kind of fur, this is left over from my kid's first Halloween costume, and he just turned 7. So things that I already had laying around the house or around the library, that's what I am using, what I try to use the most for this, and what I would definitely recommend if you want to create more of these. So we are going to put our beard on first. And where you want to put your glue is, so if you hold your beard like this, you want to put it about a 1/2 inch down from the center of the base of your triangle. So and you just want to use a real small dot of glue. Those of you who are experienced with glue guns know that they are downright dangerous. They're so hot, like when you put your finger in it like that. And then you're going to put that dab of glue just directly under your nose. And you can kind of curve your piece of fur so that it goes, see, fur, just covered in fluff for a whole week straight now, so that it's right under your nose. Now, next thing we're going to do is to glue this around the side of your gnome. So if you think about a beard on your face, you know that it kind of goes up like this. And that's what we want to do with our gnome too. Rather than like go straight across or go down, we're going to work it up. So we're going to do just a little bit of glue at a time, kind of right along the edge of our fur. And I do about halfway on each side with glue, and then I'll do the other half on that side. And I'll just finish this whole side before I move around to the other side. And it's okay if it starts looking a little crazy in the back, because you're not going to see that part anyway. So just keep pressing that down, little bits of glue. It's much better to use smaller bits of glue and keep adding more than to use too much and burn yourself, or it dries too fast, or things just start sticking together. So just gluing that down, working its way kind of up and around, just like a beard on a person. All right, so we have a beard. Yes, it looks terrible back here. That's okay. That's not the part we're gonna see. So don't be too judgmental on your crafting abilities here. So we have a beard. Now we are ready for a hat. So one of the things that's really fun about this project is that it's kind of perfect in its imperfections. So the crazier that it looks, kind of the cuter it is, I think. So if you feel like your beard color and your hat color don't really go together, or your sock color doesn't match, that's okay, because these aren't supposed to look like exactly perfect. That's part of what makes them special. So I would recommend, depending on the edge of your fabric, that you kind of fold this over if you can, so that you have a line, especially if you have a pretty big piece of fabric. It'll just give it a little bit smoother look. And same thing, you're going to put your glue on your fabric just a little ways down from where the center of the base is, and kind of opposite of what we did with the beard, you are going to put this directly above your nose, but right close to it. And just kind of hold that in place as long as the heat will allow you to, or until it loses some of its tackiness and kind of stays in place. So that is on there. And then same thing as you did with your beard, you're going to slowly glue and wrap. Now this time, think about when you're wearing a toboggan and how it like goes down around your head rather than up around your head, or it's not going to keep your ears warm. So you're going to glue down and around your gnome's head, just like your hat would go on yourself. So I'm going to do the same thing, just run a little glue along the edge. I'm going to pull it down and back and just kind of hold it into place as it's drying. And I'm just going to keep going. So this piece of fabric is really big. So I'm actually going to tuck some of this kind of up under, just so I don't have to keep working with quite so much of it. I definitely recommend doing several of these. They're really cute. They can make great gifts for you to give this holiday season if you enjoy making your own gifts, especially if you're trying to save a buck, because like I said, if you can use found items from around your house, you can make these for really cheap. And you're already going to have your first one super cheap because the library gave you the supplies. So we're gluing this around. Just keep adding glue. Burnt myself again. It's fine. It's totally fine. It's starting to come together. Starting to look like a little gnome. And this, like I said, this piece was really long, so I'm gonna keep kind of adding these up the back. But if it's small enough, you can just keep wrapping all the way around your gnome. All right. So we have now gone all the way around, and basically we are just going to start working up the back to seal his hat together. Now, also in your bag, you're going to find some stuffing. So this part is optional. You can put stuffing in your hat, like I did on this one, and I kind of just spread the stuffing out. It really made it stand up and nice and fluffy. You can put no stuffing in there like this one, and then you're gonna have a real floppy hat. But that's pretty cute too, because it really makes it hang in a nice way. So it's totally up to you, especially if you have a really thick, sturdy fabric like this one is made of felt, then you probably don't need any stuffing because it's gonna kind of stand up on its own anyway. So I am going to use a little bit of stuffing in him just so you guys can get a feel for what that looks like. You can use all the stuffing in your bag. You can use a little of the stuffing. You can use that and then some. Some other things you could use in place of stuffing would be newspaper, tissue paper, the stuffing out of a pillow if you don't want to go buy a bag. I highly recommend any of those. and or just no stuffing at all, because it works just as well that way too. It's just a little bit different look. So I just put some stuffing down inside there, and I'm gonna keep adding little bits of glue and pulling this together till I get them all the way sealed up. And I'm gonna add a little bit more fluff right up here to his very top. And I just keep adding a little bit of glue and pulling. Yep, totally burnt myself again. So just keep pulling and tucking and pulling and tucking with little bits of glue. Another thing, if you don't use the fill, you can pull his hat really, really tight, so you get like a really tall, skinny hat. And I cut your pieces of beard and hat into really generic U and V triangle shapes, but you can trim those. You can trim them as you're going. You can trim them before you start, at the end, whatever works for you, so that you get the shape that you need. And hopefully you don't run out of glue mid-project like I am right now. So, this hat is a little forward leaning, but that's okay. His nose was kind of high in position, so that's part of what's going on there. The last thing you're gonna have in your bag is a pom-pom. That's optional. You can use it, not use it, depending on your color scheme or the way you let your hat droop. It might look a little more clown-like if you add that. I think if I were making this one for home, I probably would not. But since I'm showing you what I have in your craft kit, I am going to add that. But another way that you could maybe kind of remedy that clown look would be to kind of add like a tuck and fold to your hat. So to do that, I am just going to kind of fold this top part back, and I'm going to put a little bit of glue right there. Just kind of center back part of the way down. Definitely have an extra glue stick on the ready, because this can use quite a lot of glue. Okay, so you got a blob of glue like that, and then you're just gonna kind of fold the back of it down over that and hold it into place. If you want it to have that curved look, if you want it to stand straight up, you can do that too. So it's just really personal preference when you get to this point. And the more glue you use, the more it's going to kind of flop over. And then you're going to just add a little dot of glue to the very top of your hat to add your pom-pom. Now, I do recommend doing your pom-pom last after you do your fold, just because the positioning of it may end up kind of wonky if you don't. For example, I did this one before, and it just looks kind of weird when it flops. It's like not where I would position it. So now, there you go. You've got a gnome. Isn't it cute? I would love to see your gnomes that you created with our kit or with your own materials. So drop me a picture in the comments, or put one on our Facebook page. We would love to see them, and we would love to hear back from you about your family craft night experience. So hope you had a great time. Hope you enjoyed some family time, and we'll see you guys soon. Thanks.